Welcome to the Man-Ology Project podcast. I am your host, Quentin Crumby, and on this channel, we're going to be discussing what true manhood looks like as we understand our value, our identity, and our purpose as men using godly principles. Now let's get to it. Yo, this is your boy Q with the Man-Ology Project podcast. I am back live here on my YouTube channel as well. Hey, man, I got a good friend of mine from way back in the day, and we just kind of reconnected social media, and he's doing podcasts, and I'm doing podcasts, and so we kind of met up. It's a friend of mine, Marvin Fox Jr. or Marv Fox Jr. He's a purpose coach. He's an author. He does a little bit of motivational speaking. A former basketball coach, trainer, et cetera, et cetera. He's got a long laundry list of accolades to go with him. But I got him on here as a guest today. And listen, we're going to have an interview with him on today. I want you guys to stay locked and loaded. This guy's got just a boatload of information. This guy is really driven behind purpose. And, you know, that's what we do on this podcast. We're literally trying to open up a space and give permission for men to be able to accept and be able to open up and just to do better. And so I thought, what would be better than bringing on an actual purpose coach to actually help us with it? How you doing there, Marv?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm doing real good.
That's good, man. I'm happy to reconnect with you, man. It's been many years.
Yeah, man.
But it is really good to reconnect. It was good to be able to see you out there making a difference, doing your part, which is always great to do your part. And then just kind of bringing that, you know, life skills and all that good stuff, but just lining it with purpose and driving people to be able to see what they can actually do and what they can overcome. So I'm going to close myself on down, man. This is all about you. Why don't you go ahead and just start from the top, share a little bit about yourself, you know, family, what you got going on, and then we'll get right on into it.
Okay. Born and raised Detroit, Michigan. Only child. Spent a lot of time in my feelings, a lot of time in my brain, trying to process everything that was going on. You know, and didn't have siblings to kind of distract me from what I was feeling inside. So I think because of that, I took to psychology or just things that explored the individual, you know. So I was very involved in psychology and learning about self and so on and so forth. And so grew up and went to college, played ball in college, and very quickly realized after college that my identity was wrapped up in being an athlete, right? So once that was done and I couldn't play basketball anymore, I felt empty. I felt incomplete. I felt unpacked. And I had friends. I had a girlfriend. I had a great relationship with my parents. I had all these things from the outside perspective would make you believe that I'm fine, I'm good. And I wasn't. And that kind of started this quest. So you look at me growing up without any siblings, kind of being inside my own head, right? I studied psychology in college, and then I'm dealing with this identity piece. That's one of the things you talk about when in the intro is identity. Yeah. My identity was wrapped up in being a student athlete. And now here I am in the world, and I'm not a student athlete anymore. And I had to find myself. So here it is. I have all these people in my life, but I still feel empty. And I think that was the beginning stages of me searching for self, searching for knowledge of self, trying to figure out who am I, so on and so forth. And that became, that was like the start of what would inevitably lead me to this role where I'm now helping people discover their purpose. And so how I get to that point is I start doing basketball training. That leads me to college coaching. I start doing these speeches before the games, like these 2-minute, minute and 30 inspirational speeches before the game. And it's funny how God works because I was getting a lot of repetition in giving these speeches, right? 2 days a week, I had to give a speech, right? And I had to be very, very specific, very, very efficient, and had to be powerful, right? Our games took place on Wednesday and Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, I gotta look for inspiration. Wednesday, I gotta deliver, and I'm giving my speech right before the game, right before they come out of the doors. I gotta give them something that's gonna have them
pumped up and ready.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Thursday and Friday, I got 2 more days to figure something else out. Saturday, I got to deliver. So I did this for 10 years, right?
Man.
And in the course of that time, my coach, who was a very soft-spoken, kind of an introvert, he would always get asked, "Hey, coach, you mind coming to speak to our camp? Coach, you mind coming to speak to our church? Coach, you mind speaking to our event?" And he would say, "No, I'm good." But my assistant coach would love to do it. So I started getting a lot of
out there.
Yeah. But what was happening was I was developing to a speaker, an inspirational speaker, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so keep moving on, keep talking, starting to develop concepts and so on and so forth. And I was in grad school. And they say that there's a person who studies psychologist who studies development, human development.
Mm-hmm.
And primarily he focuses on people who are in college, so ages 18, 17 to about early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And he says around the sophomore and junior year, most people start really focusing on two things. Your sophomore and your junior year, most college students start focusing on two things: identity,
yep,
and purpose.
Yep.
They start trying to figure out, who am I? That's why people start jumping on to different clubs. They start extracurricular activities. They start looking for these groups to identify with, to help them figure out, who am I? They start trying out different things, they get away from their parents. Now they can try out some different things.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then with the purpose, they realize, okay, junior year's here, and one more year, I'm out of here. I'm in the real world. So now they start trying to make sense of, what was the last 2 or 3 years? What was it all about?
Right.
So I noticed that as a student athlete, my identity was so wrapped up into sports. Those two phases, I missed those phases.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody to help navigate me through that. And so as I'm studying this in grad school, I started to stumble upon, like, everything started to make sense. All of my struggles, all of my emptiness, all of my insecurities was because I didn't have I didn't have an identity.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have an identity, that was also, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know what my purpose was. Right. I didn't know who I was.
Right. And they both linked together. They are both linked together. Yeah.
Yeah. And so once all that stuff, once I made that revelation, that's when all of my inspirational speaking stuff started to morph into this like curriculum that was designed to help people discover their purpose. And so, and you know what's funny, Quentin, man, God gave me concepts that I've been talking about the same thing since day one.
Yeah.
But they were undone. And it's like, because I just kept talking about them, right, he kept filling those concepts with more and more substance, more and more information, to the point where now that concept that was used to be very, vague, now it's solid, it's concrete. Yeah. And so it's funny how God, he'll give you something and he like, just use it. I know it's undone, but just use it. Just keep playing around with it. I'm gonna turn it into something down the line. And now, man, I got this whole curriculum that I use that makes a concept that, like, purpose, that's really, really tough to understand. And now people, after we talk, I'm not saying that they talk to me and it's like, oh man, life just makes so much more sense now.
Right.
But they're able to figure out what their purpose is, and they're able to aim with a little bit more accuracy in terms of, how do I invest in myself, and how do I unlock these things that are within me, and how do I understand what's been, what I've been through, to guide me toward my purpose, so that I can do some goodness for myself, for my family, for my community, and also for whatever industry that I'm in. So that's That's how I got from there to here.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the different piece, so and I told you we kind of on the same path. The audience are different, but the path is actually the same thing. So I literally understand exactly what you're saying. Is that when you and I find when you said that, I find myself that I started the exact same way. So you have this guy gives you like like this one stick on a drum, right? You're just beating this one note, and it's like, I know you need two sticks, and I know you need a cymbal. I know you need a hi hat. I know you need that, right? But
Yeah.
what I want you to do, though, is I want you to become very efficient at hitting this one note until I start adding these other pieces that basically, you're using your other hands, but this one note. So what you're
Yeah.
trying to drive home still beats in the wind, beats the
Yeah.
drum. But all these other little pieces you're adding kind of makes the one drum sound better. And I
It's a
like
great
that.
analogy.
Yeah, and that's really what I like. And this literally just came to me. I don't want to sound like I had this packed in. When you said that, I can see this, and it kind of came to me like, you're just beating this one drum, and then as you had the hi-hats and the snare, the tom and stuff, then the complete music of what the drum's supposed to sound like comes into play. The one constant, though, is that you're steady hitting that one drum. So if all the rest of that still leaves, I'm still hitting this one drum, and I can still drive home my point. So I like that. So now, what is your connection? So I'm really big into identity and purpose. I start with value. So do you have any piece that you drive home with value, or do you kind of link the identity with the value? So the way that you see yourself will actually create the way you value who you are, where
So
your
my
self-esteem, your confidence, and all of that kind
yeah.
of stuff. So,
Yeah.
kind of walk me through that piece on how do you construct that? How do you put that into numbers, if you want to say, so people can kind of grasp hold of it?
Yeah. So purpose is a combination of two things: genius level talent and passion.
Mm-hmm.
Genius level talent and passion. Genius level talent is a natural ability that's capable of being converted into a genius level skill.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have natural abilities. We all have abilities, but not all of them are primed for genius level. For not all of them are primed to be genius level talents or elite levels, elite abilities, right?
Right.
So we have to be honest with ourselves, and we got to do some internal inventory and figure out, of all these skills that we possess, which ones are primed um, to be genius level talents, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, genius level skills.
Right.
So we want to take the talent, work on it, so it can become a skill that we've mastered,
Right.
and that's where you go into the realm of unconscious competence, where you are so good at this you could do it in your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So genius level talent sounds like a singular concept, right? But it's actually a plural concept in that there are 9 forms of intelligence that we all possess. There are
Okay.
9 forms of intelligence that we all possess, okay? But of those 9 forms of intelligence, some are more outstanding than others,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So our genius level talent is a combination of the most outstanding forms of genius, the more outstanding forms of intelligence that we possess,
Mm-hmm.
and in that way, that's where we become unique. That's where we find our identity.
Yeah.
So, so for me personally, one of the 4 forms of intelligence that I possess is interpersonal intelligence. So that's people smart.
Yep.
Intrapersonal intelligence, that's being self smart.
Yeah.
Existential intelligence, that's being life smart, and always about being fascinated by some of the tougher questions in life. Why do we live? Why do we die? What is our purpose? So on and so forth.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's also the intelligence that comes with theologians and people
Right.
who are philosophers, things of that nature,
Yeah.
ministers and stuff like that. The last one is linguistic intelligence, right? So I'm
Mm.
word smart, and not that I'm the most eloquent person you've ever heard, but I communicate well.
Yeah.
You're not going to leave a conversation with me not knowing what I was talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I lean on those 4 forms of intelligence. That's what makes that's what makes up my genius level talent. So when I tell somebody I'm a purpose coach, right, and that's my identity, how do I qualify it? Well, I qualify it by saying, well, I'm people smart, I'm self smart, I'm life smart, and I'm word smart. So those 4 things are what make or qualify me or would make up my identity as a purpose coach. And so that's where I find my confidence. So I'm taking that identity into every room with me because
Yeah.
I know when I'm operating within my purpose or I'm operating within my genius level talent, there's 3 things that I'm going to experience. I'm going to experience enhanced instincts. My
Yep.
touch, feel, timing is going to be
Impeccable.
strong.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
You know what
gonna
I'm saying? Like I ain't even got to know all the rules of the game in order for
right.
me to be very competitive. I can just go off a gut feeling, and that. So when I'm dealing with my genius level talent, my instincts are going to be off the charts.
Right.
I'm also going to experience enhanced memory. I know that anytime I'm learning, I'm taking in content or information regarding purpose, all right, or anything that's revolving psychology. I'm going to be able to remember it so much so that even if I can't remember all of it, I can remember enough of it where I can go home, research it,
Right. And get it
process the
going.
information, and said I'm not trying to memorize nothing. I want to internalize it.
Right.
So I want to get the information, process it, internalize it, so that I can utilize it on the highest level.
Right. Yeah.
And then the last thing is, I always say, you should experience a pre-established aptitude for understanding. Meaning, there's sometimes I don't know. You probably I know you felt this. Everyone has. There's some moments where we find ourselves in some spaces, and it's like we felt like I've always known this information without
Yeah.
somebody telling
Telling.
me,
Yeah.
without somebody training me, somebody teaching me. I
Mhm.
always knew this
Yeah.
because you were born with that understanding from the day of conception. You were born with that understanding.
Yeah.
I'm taking that genius level talent into every single room with me because that gives me the best opportunity to pop off the page.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the most memorable. I'm going to be the most fascinating. I'm going to be the most intelligent. I'm going to be the sharpest. I'm going to be the most, what's the word? I'm going to pop off the page the most if I'm operating with my genius level talent and that identity because that's what's going to make me singular and unique.
Yeah.
The last
Which
thing is Pat. Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say which is really the key. Trying to be unique, trying to have that singularity, where people actually goes, man, I can't remember that other guy, but he was right after Marv. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where you want to be. So I got you. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was really good. I like
Cool. And then the other part of it is passion. So genius level talent is what you're good at, right? And passion is what you love to do.
that. Yeah.
So passion, I always ask this question: what is the one thing that you would do for the rest of your life to benefit all of humanity, regardless of compensation, reward, or recognition? I know it's a mouthful. I'll say it again. What's the
No.
one thing that you would do for the rest of your life? 5 to 7 days, 5 out of 7 days for the rest of your life that's going to benefit all of humanity. So what service are you going to provide? What problems are you going to solve? Right?
Yeah.
And you love doing this so much that you don't care about recognition, you don't care about reward, you don't care about money.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about a concept we're talking about an activity that's autotelic.
Yeah.
Autotelic means that the the compensation is the opportunity to do is the
Yeah.
opportunity to engage in the activity. Like I want to, if I'm gonna sing this song, if I get paid for it, great. But if I don't, that's fine because the payment comes in the form of being able to sing this song,
Yeah.
right?
That's real.
So once I help people figure out what their genius level talent profile is, what of these 9 forms of intelligence, which of them pop off the page to you? Which of these speak to you, right?
Yeah.
And then once I help people figure out what they love to do, now we're being able to take this concept of purpose and make it very simplistic
Mm.
and comprehensive. We can measure it. We can look back at past experiences and kind of make some sense of it and find evidence so that a
Yeah.
person can walk in confidence and conviction, knowing that I know what I'm here for. I know what I'm here to do. And I know all the stuff that's been done to me, all this stuff that has been done for me, all these things that I've experienced in the past. I now know why all that stuff had to happen. Some of that stuff was awesome and some of that stuff was dark.
Yeah.
And I know and I understand now why all those things had to happen to me, because that was the universe, that was God showing me my purpose, pulling my purpose out of me, pulling my passion, pulling my genius level talent out of me. You know what I'm saying? And now that it's out and it's on display and I have it in my hands, now it's only one, it's one thing. Are you going to fulfill your purpose?
Right.
Are you going to fulfill your God ordained purpose, or are you not?
Right.
That's the
And
big
it's
question.
scary. And the thing is that it's scary. Now, first, before I even go into that, I literally want to answer that question that you just asked. Something that I actually can see myself doing without compensation 5 days a week. And which is how I'm here today on this podcast, is mentoring men, both single and married. That is a strong passion. And you're right. The reward is just someone listening to my information.
Yeah.
The reward is actually you asking me a question and giving me 15 minutes of your time to be able to help you understand or challenge the way that you presently think about marriage, relationship, or you as a man as a whole. Like that is something. So that is really, really good. Like that. And another thing, when I listen to some of your stuff, and it's so funny because I think one of them I was looked on there. It was like you're like at a college or something.
Sure, I do colleges. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like some young people, and I was like, wow, like this is like real information. And I was like trying to get them to understand that is great. And if you can get people to really understand that, so you got all these qualities, and then you need to find out exactly what your main set of qualities are. Like that's pretty powerful. And then maximize, like don't try to go out of that space. Really take those 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 or whatever they are, though. Like that's real deep, Marv. And then make them so impactful that you're able to do it like this, like without even thinking about it, you're able to pop off and knock it out. That's like real.
Yeah.
That's a different thing for that's a big task though. Like getting somebody to see who they are or who they can become. And like you said though, and we're talking like, because we got to go pull the diamond, the coal, the bag behind you have got you looking like coal right now. And when we get done with you, you're gonna shine like a diamond. But basically, that crappy lifestyle, bad parents, drugs, whatever, got you, all black and dusty and looking like a piece of coal. Man, that's a nice little task. I'm very happy to be able to sit over these, few years to be able to watch how that unfolds for you. Because, like I said, we talk the same thing, but that is a little, I like that. And I may even tap into you because those components are those, understanding exactly what you bring to the table is really, I mean, isn't that really the battle? Like, I mean, isn't that like not the battle, but isn't that like the reward is to really find out that, you know what? I really don't suck.
Hey, let me tell you my latest revelation. I'm reading this book. It's called Multiple Intelligence. So this concept, genius level talent, is a word, a combination of words that I heard Jay-Z say in an interview. Everybody's got a genius level talent. That's all he said.
I have heard him say that too. Yeah.
So then I used that. And then I came up again. God gave me the definition for it. Genius level talent is a natural ability capable of being converted into a genius level skill. The operative word is capable, because not all of our talents are genius level compatible. Right? So you can sing, you can hold a note, but you might not be a world-class singer.
Right.
But now when it comes to numbers, you may be a world-class mathematician, statistician. So even though the singer lifestyle may look sexier, you might be able to change the world with numbers.
Right.
So that's why we gotta, you gotta figure it out. You gotta be honest with yourself and be like, I know I want this lifestyle because that looks cooler, that looks sexier, there's more fame connected to that. being a numbers person doesn't seem like it's cool, but you can do the most good. You can change the most lives. You can have the most impact and provide the most value.
Yeah.
Talking numbers.
Yeah.
So we gotta be honest with ourselves and figure out where we gifted, right? Now you said you said something earlier when you were saying like coming to this realization that you don't suck, right? Here's what I've learned recently. So I'm reading this book about Howard Gardner. Now, Howard Gardner is the person who came up with the 9 forms of intelligence. He's a developmental psychologist. He works.
What's his name again? Let me write that down. What's his name?
Howard Gardner.
Okay.
G-A-R, D-N-E-R, Gardner. So he has a book called Multiple Intelligence, right? And so he realized that a lot of educators started using his work. And the reason why his work was so important to educators was because when you start getting into middle school, we start doing a lot of standardized tests with kids, right? And the standardized test, the SAT is the end all be all in terms of what's going to measure your level of competence and determine whether or not you can get into the college of your choice, right?
Right.
To excel on those tests, right? Now, if it ain't just flat out luck, if it ain't just like you luckily just got a good score, you have to have a strong linguistic IQ.
Yep.
Or you have to have a strong reasoning IQ. And reasoning IQ often lends itself well to being strong with numbers.
Yep.
So either you're good with numbers,
yep,
you're good with reasoning, or you're word smart. So there's this 2 or 3 things that are being highlighted on this test, or on this standardized test, and most standardized tests.
Yep.
So now here's the question: what about the kid who's a genius musician? What about the kid who's a world-class athlete?
Right.
What about the person who's incredibly charismatic when dealing with other people?
Right.
What about the person who's an incredible, who understands nature, who's nature smart?
Yeah.
So the standardized test doesn't recognize any of these other forms of intelligence. It only tells you you're gifted and you're smart and you're bright if you're word smart or you're number smart.
Right.
But meanwhile, you've been playing music since you were 3.
Right.
Meanwhile, you've been acting out scenes with this incredible with this incredible ability to of expression since you were 4.
Right. Memorizing 5 books worth of information.
Yeah. I mean, we citing movie lines and acting them out with incredible accuracy and emotional intelligence.
Yep.
Right. Or you've been able to you've been able to understand people.
Yeah.
On an elite level ever since you were 5. Your mom is going through a 5-year-old coming to you and saying, "Mom, I know you're not doing okay, but I just want to let you know that if you want to talk to me, I'm here." You 5 years old.
5 years old.
Right. Now that might be a future psychologist. Right. That might be a future therapist. But so here's my point. My point is, I've been realizing that this stuff this purpose work that I'm doing is important, obviously because I'm doing it, but this purpose work is important because at some point there's going to be a standardized test that's going to tell some kid you're not competent enough.
Right.
Think about this, bro. Kids get music scholarships. They get offered music scholarships, but if they can't pass the standardized test, they can't take advantage of the music scholarship. So how is school gonna want you for something, but because you don't pass this test, you're no longer qualified to go to that institution?
Yeah, me and my wife was just talking about this. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So in essence, I want to help people and kids understand you're bright. You're special. You're gifted. Geniuses don't always show up in lab coats with crazy hair and glasses.
Right.
Geniuses look like you and I.
Yep.
And if I can help a kid figure out why they are special, this happened to me. A girl says, "Marv, I'm gifted in numbers, but every time I take the SAT, the math portion comes back bad, but I know I'm gifted in numbers." She says, "Marv, I had many experiences in my life where numbers, I figured it out because I figured it out." I said, "You know what? You are gifted in numbers. And I'm gonna tell you something. Us adults, we don't take tests every day.
Right.
We don't take tests.
Right.
But that's what they do in school. Every week, every 2 weeks, you got to take a test. So you
Right.
don't take tests. Our school system prepares kids to take tests. And when we become adults, we collaborate. We
Right.
get in rooms with people and we talk and we share ideas
Right.
and we
Network
throw
and
stuff on the
yeah.
wall.
Yeah. We build
So
a team.
yeah. I said,
We build teams.
but in order for you to do well in school, in order for you to go to college, you got to sit in the classroom and like you got this amount of time to figure out all this information, and then that determines if you're gifted.
Yeah.
So long story short, yes, I want to make sure that everybody knows you don't suck. And I
Yeah.
want you to prove it to yourself. I'm not going to tell you anything. I want you to prove it to yourself that you don't suck by recognizing all these areas where you are special and understanding that your life has been trying to tell you you were special and build up that special quality within you so that now when the world tells you you're not good enough, you can say, I strongly disagree. I am good enough. Here's the evidence, and just find another avenue to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. I like yeah, that right there, that's pretty good. And this is the thing, right? So and we were talking this before we aired and just talking about that transition from for your son, like, going from uh and nobody really understands until you have a kid that line right before teenager is a real line. Like there's a real like it's a real line there. And it's not a little line. It's like a big line. Like the transition is massive.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's no joke.
because basically right when they get over that line, uh, the uh, the hunger to be independent
Mm-hmm.
starts kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
The bad part is they fail every time, so they
Yep.
want to be independent like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but still need your help to wake up in the morning because they just can't accomplish it.
Oh yeah,
So
man.
you know what I'm saying. So when I look at that, and I look at like my son, and I go, because I literally have I've had the same conversation with him. Being a student athlete dude since he was, I mean, pretty much since fifth grade, he's been playing basketball for school and AAU.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to make sure that he understands that because you love basketball and you love sports, if that does only define you, you will become stuck. Because if you can't get any movement in that arena, you will be living under the viaduct. Like literally, like because what happens is that you'll get stuck and then you'll live in yesteryear because it never panned out. So basically, and this is really paramount because, and I'm just taking this from what you said, which is you were like always,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, training was like really like I met you in training. Like
Yep.
when Daryl couldn't train, you was training Q. And you
Mm-hmm.
always told me like coaching is cool and stuff, man, but I really like taking a kid from 0 to 1,000. So
Yeah.
and so I get that. Like, man, I've always been this guy. And if you coach in college, that's pretty much solidified that you actually are really good at what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can coach in college, then you're like, man, I've been doing this forever. But then as the college level literally solidifies that, yo, I know exactly what I'm doing because the college level has accepted me into the circle.
Shit
Uh, but
facts.
but the thing is that you don't want to get stuck there. So I had to tell my son, I was like, yo, like, so Q is 16. And so right at 12, I started really talking to him about all these different paths. Like, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? What is this? So literally all
Yeah.
this stuff you're talking about, like, and I'm just using this to back it up, like telling people that, I started this with my son at 12 and my son is 16 right now. My son has made the honor roll since kindergarten. He's been on the honor roll every year. He's never missed the honor roll.
It's impressive.
Listen, self-driven.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove him all the way up about 12 years old and I switched to gears. You don't go to school for us.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get an A in class because of your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that. Like you had to get A's because you feel that you're competent enough to
Mm-hmm.
earn the A. So
Mm-hmm.
like I'm saying that this stuff that you're talking about, I want people to really understand that this is the real work. Because if you can get somebody to really see that they can do it,
Yeah.
Listen, dude. I can't wait till you get your, that 10-year marker when people are coming back to you and saying,
Yeah.
dude, if I would have never met you at this point of my life to
Facts. Yeah.
give me that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's literally what you're living for. You're living for the 10 to 15 years. When
Yeah.
people come back and you see them at a restaurant and they got their family, they got their kids, they
Mm-hmm.
got the beamer, they got the life, everything is working.
Yep.
And they look at you and say, Marv, and you go, dude. And he says, man, if I wouldn't have heard you, I would have never thought that I was good at A, B, and C. And you would not believe that I own A, B, and C because you told me that if I know that I'm good at this, that I need to pour into this. And
Yep.
I did that, dude. And look where I'm at. I mean, that's phenomenal to be able to see that because I saw that in my son.
Yeah.
So from 12 to 16, this dude has been doing his schoolwork for himself.
Mm.
Like, so he's maintained he's a 3.7, 3.7, 3.8 student athlete. And he's played basketball every season since 5th grade.
That's impressive.
Plus AAU. And
Yeah.
this
To
year,
be.
dude, listen, and this year he's working. So he
That's
played
even more impressive.
listen, he played basketball, goes to school, and he works on the weekend at Culver's. You know what I'm saying? So and that's what I'm just saying. Like once you can steer people in the right frame, mind, that frame where they see that value in themselves.
Yeah.
I literally watch my son just go from 0 to 1,000. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
So like when I come to him, I'm like, yo, dude, I'm like, Q, man, how's it going? Man, is it tough? And he'd be like, it is tough, Dad, but I'm I got it. Like I'm gonna knock it out.
You built
Like
for it.
you
You
and
built
that's
for it. Once you figure out once you that's the thing, man. Like it's you said something earlier, man. And I was gonna I put a pin in it, but I clearly I didn't put it deep enough because but it's this alignment piece. It's this
yeah,
alignment piece, and it's when we are in alignment with like yeah, you know, this is what I want to do and all that other stuff, but like I'm also built for it. You know, like
right.
when you figure out what your purpose is,
Yeah,
part of that alignment piece is like this is what your purpose is, and then you realize, okay, I'm built for this, and I guess that alignment piece comes along with as you start to qualify your genius level talent and the
yeah,
forms of intelligence that make up your genius level talent. You start trying to qualify them, and you start looking back at, you know, the tough times that you went through where you were developing skills,
yeah,
the the um the environment that you grew up in that was cultivating certain skills and making you aware of or just developing a certain disposition and demeanor or a certain level of awareness.
yeah,
You start realizing like for every form of intelligence that's off the charts and outstanding, I can look back at my past and tell you how that developed, how
yeah,
that came to be. You
yeah,
know, I can look back at my family. I can look back at my family and say that Pop passed that down to me. Mom
yeah,
passed that down to me. Gramps,
yeah,
he got that too. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
And sometimes the bad stuff, but they also pass down some good things. And
yeah,
then once you figure out once you figure out what your genius level talent is and your passion and all that other stuff, that's when you start to understand how all this stuff is in alignment.
yeah,
All this stuff is making sense to you. You're good at these things because of all these life's experiences. You love this stuff because your world, your environment, you know, that
yeah,
love was cultivated in you because and now once all those things are in alignment, thing things just look a lot different. Things look
yeah,
a lot of different when they're in alignment. Now you realize, like, wait a minute, I'm built for this. This ain't something that I just like to do. This ain't something um that I'm good at. I'm also built for it. And
yeah,
that's what my past is showing me. And so I think with your son, he made a like he I don't know if he could possibly like I don't know if he would describe it this way, but I think it happened. Like one day he was like, school, I can excel at school, I can excel at sports, and I can go to my part-time job and I can get busy.
yep,
and I'm built for it. I
Yeah.
got the discipline, I got the drive, I got the ambition, I got the work ethic, I got the motor, I got the support system, I got the intelligence, I got
Yeah.
everything that I need to do great in all three of these lanes, and I'm built for it.
Yeah.
And after that, it's like, what's stopping me?
Right. And if you can get it, and that's one thing I will say is that once I got him to actually understand
Hmm.
that you were built. So, I had to kind of pour out some of the way that I was raised. Mom and dad got divorced when I was 10.
Hmm.
Uh, we hustled around from crib to crib. It was a treacherous, it was a
Yeah,
treacherous like 7 years.
yeah,
But I gave him this information because I wanted to tell him what lineage he's coming out of. So when you're looking at stuff, it's like, man, why am I able to just push through? Like you said, I'm gonna tell you what your pop, like what you just got just from me. We ain't even gonna go nowhere else. Just for me is endurance. Like I'm intelligent, humorous, people person, uh, but I'm also reserved, which is hilarious, right? Because I do podcasts, I enjoy laughing and stuff, but I'm a very reserved person. And Q looked at himself, and this dude is the exact same way.
yeah.
And when I talk to his boys, they're like, Mr. Crumbie, man, Q so laid back. You know what I'm saying? He be chill, man. But then he have us cracking up. He do this. Like Q was like, even his teacher, his Spanish teacher, his English teacher, they was like, what amazes us about this guy is that he fits none of the narrative of the guy, you can look at a class and be like, look at this guy here, man. Everybody probably likes this guy. So like Q doesn't fit the narrative of that. She's like, but everybody love him. Every teacher adores him.
Yeah.
She said his friends speak extremely highly of him.
Hmm.
She said he's very compassionate and tender to all the girls in the classroom. Like these are
Smart.
what listen, this is from a parents teacher conference. Like we literally,
Yeah.
I'm not, and I this is literally information that they gave us. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at him and I'm like, really? So when I talk to him, like, dude, so this is what we're getting. He's like, well, yeah, that is me, dad. And I'm like, wow. Like, and I think, like you said, I think somewhere I think the alignment comes in and then he goes, man, because later this year it got rough. This dude's like an AP everything. And so
But he's built for it.
listen, I'm in AP everything and I'm still trying to maintain a 3.7 and play ball. Mind you, the dude speaks Spanish. He plays the trumpet. I mean, this dude's got a resume. And this dude still kept a 3.7 and it kicked his butt. And I'm using this, and I'm not saying as a bragging, but I want to make a point to what you said, which is something in there had to click to say, I'm built for it. Because where would the push come? When his butt got kicked. Listen, his
Yeah.
butt got kicked.
Yeah.
And he still pushed out a 3.7 and made the honor roll. Like, me and my wife are like, I told him, I was like, dude, what the heck happened? He was like, Dad, I mean, this dude was up all night. He pushed.
Yeah.
I ain't have to say, son, stay up. I ain't have to say nothing.
Sure.
I look in his room, his light is on. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, dude, he's like, nope, I'm not letting this class take me out, Dad. I'm not letting it. And I'm like, man, like, so where did this endurance come from? I mean, I know I had a part to play, but it is a beautiful thing to see it manifest. And that's what I'm just saying, kudos to you that you'll be able to watch this manifestation. And then on top of that, you have your own kids who are going to be light years ahead of.
Nah, bro. Look, they don't listen to me. Yeah,
Listen,
listen, I don't know about you.
no, I promise you that I take it from me. No, I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you, you take it from Q, because Q told
Okay.
me,
Okay.
and Q told me, no matter what you tell me, I've downloaded everything that you've said.
Sure. I
He
hope
said,
you're right.
he said, no, listen. Oh, I'm telling you that I am, because Q, as all this great stuff, this dude is still a 16-year-old boy
Yeah.
with a phone in his hand, sitting
Yeah.
around, looking around, loafing around, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all over him too. I'm pouring all this stuff, and then I'm seeing it manifest though.
Sure.
So see what I'm telling you, that you're doing it, and he's looking like whatever. But then when he gets 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, when he in college and you like Dean's list, damn, then you'd be like, so you were a goof. And he'd be like, not really. I heard you. Not really. I heard you. But you are my dad, right? So you're not going to get the undivided attention, dude. You're going to get a son, which is I'm going to be goofy. I'm going to be looking like I don't want to hear you. Man. So you're going to get all of that narrative, but don't think for 1 minute, because the Bible literally tells you that that's how you actually instruct and train your children. The Bible tells you that you should be writing this stuff on the walls, like writing scriptures on the wall, hanging it all up. And the word of God will be hitting in their heart just because you do that, not because you beat it over their head.
Yeah.
It's because it's basically in front of them all the time. So when you're telling your kids this, I promise you're going to be like, good goobly goo. You guys are, because your kids can only be better.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a freaking purpose coach. Like, your kids can only be better than
I'll tell you what, you said something that was awesome when you were talking about you passing down the endurance. And I think this is important for men to know that, and I heard this from on a conversation with some rappers, but the guy said, the guy who said his name is Loaded Lux, he's a battle rapper, but he said, you're not you as much as you are your lineage.
Right.
You're not you as much as you are your lineage. And and it's twofold, because sometimes we excel in life and we think it's all us, right? Now realizing, you was given a cheat code through your genetic coding. You know what I'm saying? And the other side of it is sometimes we don't measure up.
Yeah.
And we think it's all on us. We think we don't measure up because it's all on us. Now realizing that just the same way you can get past the manifesto that's full of information,
you
can also get past the manifesto that's basically got a cover and a back end page, and there's nothing in there. Right. And at some point, somebody along the generational lineage, whatever, somebody's got to be like, listen, I got to fill up this manifesto with some information.
Yep.
I got to start researching. I got to start reading. I got to start, working on different things, throwing stuff on the wall, staying with stick, so I can fill up this manifesto with as much information as possible, so I can pass it on to the next generation, so then I got something to work with.
Yeah.
So I think, again, some of what Q got, obviously it came from you, and then hopefully he's also getting this manifesto that, I got some challenges, I got some issues, but I got a manifesto that talks about those issues and talks about how we can level up and how we can get strong. So I'm passing that down to you, son, because you got this good stuff. You also got the bad stuff. So let me give you the manifesto that's kind of like, the cheat code. And now let me give you the other manifesto that speaks to our limitations and our deficiencies, but it also tells you how you can level up and build those, and convert those. So yeah, man, it's what we passing things down, man. We passing things down. And again, the internal inventory, internal inventory is important, because we got to make sure that we are processing what's within us, or making ourselves aware of what's within us, so that we can understand it and then adjust it as we need to, so that we can do something awesome for ourselves and others.
Yeah, man. All right, well, but dude, listen, man, we coming up on that time.
Yeah, man.
This conversation been great, dude. Just talking to you, I see that we're gonna talk offline. I got some stuff I want to do. I think that you would be able to spread this purpose on some stuff that I got going on as well.
Bring it.
And I definitely want to have you on, on the podcast, whenever you're free, if I can get you on to be able to do it and be able to just spread that purpose, man. I think it's time to really open up. And this is for kids and stuff, but we're talking about kids or young adults and stuff, but I think a lot of grown men could benefit from unpacking, man. Get into this purpose, understand that identity, man, and unpack who you really are, and stop living on this image level. Reality is where you want to live. You don't want to live at an image level, because basically it forces you to be fake and phony, and you can't get to your full potential when you're living under a false pretense of someone else or something else. So, but to end out, tell everybody how they can get at you, man, how they can get with the Become the podcast, and all that stuff.
So you go to, so if you want to go to the podcast, it's the Become Podcast, the Become Podcast, and you'll be all set if you want to listen to me that way. If you go to, if you want to engage with me on social media, the way that I engage the most is through Instagram, and that's Marv Fikes Jr. _purpose_recognition. Marv Fikes Jr. _purpose_recognition. And if all of that is too hard to remember, just go to marvfoxjr.com and you'll be able to get to the podcast. You'll be able to get to all the social media, Facebook, YouTube, and all of that. And yeah, man, and that's and the information is purpose. I want to give out practical advice to help people live the purpose-centered life.
Man, listen, I love it. Thank you, my bro, for coming on and taking the invite, especially since we haven't really seen each other in a long time. So I totally appreciate accepting the invitation, man, and coming on and literally, schooling us, man. All that stuff. Listen, I'm literally gonna go ahead and check this Howard Gardner out, dude, because that was really good information. And I think that men need to really learn how to unpack that identity piece, reach back there and figure out what's going on so that we can be better men, husbands, businessmen, and all that stuff. So, hey, you guys know how to get at me on all the social platforms, Quentin Crumby, and you can catch me for the podcast, Save Period, my Christian apparel company, and everything. You'll be able to get at me, man. So this has been a great interview with Mr. Marv Fikes Jr., the author and the purpose coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great conversation, and we out of here. Peace out.
Appreciate you, fam.